Well, hello. Today I'm meeting John Strange, who is the Director of Your Business Freedom, a business coaching organisation, and he's going to talk to us a bit today about a new project he's working on to help small business owners to better understand their business and the numbers in their business. Thanks, John, for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I've had a good chat to John already and learnt about what he's working on. Could you tell us a bit more about your background, John, and how you've come to be involved in the latest enterprise and what you're up to?
Okay, well, I began my work in life many years ago as a research test engineer with Rolls-Royce, working on that wonderful white elephant, the Concorde, and my part in it was developing the engine to power the Concorde. But 47 years ago, last March, my wife and I emigrated to Australia, and of course there's nothing like the industry I was used to in this country. So I tried working in large corporates, and I found that I didn't really fit in there. I'm a bit of a maverick, I think, and I couldn't fit in with the culture of large corporations. So I started working some 40 years ago in small business and developed an absolute passion for it. And some 30 odd years ago, I went into the financial planning industry and ran my own practice there for 30 odd years until December 2014, I sold out to Danny Marr.
Great, yes, it was an old family friend of mine, so
Yes.
nice connection.
Yes, and given I was only a young man of 70, I didn't really feel that I was ready to retire.
Still a spring chicken, really.
I think so many people retire far too early when they have so much accumulated knowledge that we should be passing on to the younger generation.
Mm.
And after working in small business for 40 years, I decided that I would really like to try and make a difference, because out of all the businesses that actually get put up for sale in the small business area, only 21% ever get sold.
Incredible. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And many of them never even make it onto the market, because when a broker has a look at it, he says, well, yeah, look, you really don't have anything that you can sell here. So
that must be horrible for the business owner, their life's work. Someone looks out and says, actually, you don't have a business, you've got a job and enjoy being out of it.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And because our financial planning practice concentrated mainly on small business owners, I was well aware of this issue. And so many of our business clients were approaching retirement age. And when I looked at their businesses, I could see that their chances of selling them were very remote.
Mm.
And yet they placed such a high value on them and such a prominent role in providing for their retirement. And
what size businesses do you have in mind? Are they mostly sort of owner-operator or less than 10 people? What size businesses are you mostly thinking of?
Yeah, the ones I'm most concerned about are in that micro to small end of the business market. So up to about 20 employees.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Anywhere from 2 to 20 employees. Because they're the most difficult ones to sell. Because they're generally owner dependent.
Yes.
And they're not really a business, they're a job for the owner.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're extremely difficult to sell at any price.
Yeah. And can you recommend any sort of warning signs that your business might actually be in this bracket well before you get to sale? I imagine it's hard to go on holidays if your business is one of these.
Yes. That is a classic example. If I said to you, hey Dallas, do you want to come with me for 3 months over to Europe?
Uh-huh.
And you answer, no, I couldn't do that, then you don't have a business.
When do we go? Are we going on the Concorde?
Yeah. Well, I wish we would go on the
Yeah,
Concorde.
amazing that it's like the moon landing. Sometimes we're no better off 20 years later than we were. It's,
No,
the technology of the 80s and 90s, we still haven't caught up with in so many ways.
no, no. Well, it's the area where I came from, Bristol, it's produced a couple of very large white elephants. One was a Concorde, but there's another airplane before that called the Bristol Brabazon, which was even bigger than a 747, and that was built in I think it was 1949 and was scrapped in about 52, 53.
Right, well,
So we have a wonderful tradition in Bristol
I think big anyway.
producing white elephants.
Okay, so if someone can't get away on holidays, then
Yes.
they're probably falling into this category. What other signs do you see in these businesses? What other symptoms do they have?
They live in a high stress environment because everything revolves around them.
So they're always putting out fires.
Yes. There's constant bushfires that they're called upon to put out. Their phone is forever ringing for them.
Yes.
They that maybe they have high staff turnover. But the classic example is that they can't take holidays. They're often working weekends and evenings. Their working week is not a 40-hour week. It's it's more like about an 80-hour week.
Sure. So that they're really looking forward to retirement, no doubt, more than the rest of us.
Yes, and often they no longer are passionate about their business, or they may be, but it's a hatred type of passion rather than a love type of passion. They don't look forward to going to work on each morning. It no longer excites them. It's a drain on them. And the key indicator is it's owner dependent.
Yes. And what can they do? What's the answer?
Well, this is the difficulty, you see, because there's a lot of business coaches out there, as you would know, because
Yes.
you're one of them. Small businesses have a difficulty in affording a first-rate business coach.
Yes, and especially if they're already stressed for time and money and all
Yes.
the things that go with it.
Yes, a first-class business coach is going to be coaching them in all aspects of their business. Probably runs somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 a month,
Yes.
which pushes it right outside of the ability of an average business owner in that category, which I'm seeking to help.
Yes.
So that's their difficulty.
Great. And so, what have you thought? What's your approach to reaching out to help these people? What have you planned?
Well, it started off in the traditional way. I started off doing one-on-ones with clients from my old practice, because I really wanted to understand the problems a lot better. And I realized by doing it one-on-one, I was really going to limit the number of people that I could help.
Yes.
And secondly, whilst I was prepared to do it for a nominal sum because it was part of my research, I realized that if this was to be an ongoing thing, it had to be commercial. Because otherwise it would die when I did.
Yes.
So I had to build a commercial venture so that even when I'm no longer able to be doing it, it will still continue on. Plus, I didn't want to become another one of those that's tied absolutely to their business either.
Yes.
I wasn't before in the practice. My wife and I used to take many holidays, and I wasn't beset by phone calls. So I felt that I needed to build a completely new model. And And there wasn't a model that I could find out there in the marketplace, because despite my age, I am actually very technology orientated.
Yes, I was really impressed with you telling me about your the way you marketed your financial planning business and how successful that had been. I think you were saying that that you'd been making videos and sharing tips and things, and you got to the point when you sold the business to Danny that he said, "Look, sorry, we're too busy. You have to turn it off now."
So I mean that's part of it, but within the practice, I also use technology to a very high degree. Because with a financial planning practice, like so many businesses, your biggest cost factor is people, wages.
Yes.
And you can't keep adding to that wage bill all the time and still remain viable. And so I was constantly looking for technological solutions that would allow us to do the same job, but at a much reduced cost.
That sounds like the engineer's brain at work.
Yeah, look, it's definitely the engineer's brain. It was the way I was trained 50 years ago, and that sort of training it applies. Fortunately, in business, it doesn't just apply in the aircraft industry. So. In the practice, we used technology to a very high degree. We used automation to a very high degree. And so the practice was highly automated, so that we were able to double our output without adding any staff on, but more importantly, not wearing our staff into the ground.
And yourself too, because you've
yes.
put your expertise into the systems and the systems around the business. So it's,
yes. I essentially worked myself into obsolescence. By the time I sold the business to Danny, I really was struggling to find things for me to do. I tended to see just do the bits that I really liked, which was seeing the people.
Yes.
Everything else within the practice was done by the staff and the system. So yes, that's what I set out to do when I wanted to build a new model. So I was looking for technology that I could build into this new model. And after 6 months of research, I settled on an Australian company called MAUS, M-A-U-S, and I went down to visit them in Sydney, and I spent 6 hours with their managing director, and was convinced that they were going to provide me with the answers that I needed. And I worked very closely with Peter in producing a new model for MAUS that will integrate with a 12-month course.
Great. And what's MAUS's main user base at the moment? So outside of your new model, what sort of
it's mainly one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
It's an end-to-end system that was developed by Peter Hickey, who was a business coach and has been for over 20-something years. And like so many of us, he wasn't satisfied with the technology that was out there, so he set about building his own, while still continuing to coach. And so it's a very practical piece of software.
And so it's business management software. Does it include a sort of CRM component, or what domains does it cover? It's one. If I had one criticism of it, and Peter already knows that this is my criticism, so I'm not talking out of school here, is it doesn't have a front end. Right. So there's no CRM or anything on there. But I know he was looking at building that in,
before I disrupted
Sure, yes.
his program by pushing him really hard to build this new module for me.
Right, yes.
To do this this new coaching module.
Great.
And yes, I think he put some other
sometimes the sort of fastest path to market is just to integrate with the really popular ones anyway, so you don't, because it's hard to do everything really well. So
yes,
until he builds his own, often just getting good syncing with existing incumbents is a good way to go.
Yes, we have talked about that, but as I say, I unfortunately I disrupted a number of his plans because I was pushing him really hard. I think his first comments about me when he first met me is, "Gosh, I can see you're going to be a pain in the proverbial."
Yes,
and I think I proved it right. Yes.
Excellent. So you've developed an online sort of group coaching or training experience. That's a course.
Initially, it's going to be physically, and
yes.
we're rolling it out in Cairns to begin with.
Great.
Because there's been 5 of us working on the course, with over 100 years of experience in small business and coaching, who have put together this course. But of course, at this stage, whilst it's all very practical, because it's not textbook stuff. This is tried and tested by all of us in the field. Have done it and said, yes, that works, or that doesn't work, and so it's all very proven. But we brought it all together into a 12-month course. But we've got to prove the course.
Yes.
Just how well have we put it together? Does it make sense? Does it roll in a logical manner? And so what we're doing is we're going to run a few physical courses here in Cairns before we roll it out online.
Sounds like a great way to get that direct feedback, and there's nothing like watching someone actually struggle trying to do something and realising, gee, it shouldn't be this hard.
Yes.
Maybe I need to explain this differently.
Yes, it's harking back to my training. It's a matter of you come up with what you think is right, and then you test that.
Yes.
And you then find out where the flaws are in what your thinking is, and you correct those flaws as you go along. And this is why the Cairns people will have the benefit of a greatly reduced price on this course to begin with, because we're testing it out on them.
Right, so they're the guinea pigs.
Well, they're the guinea pigs, but they'll also have the benefit of the physical contact.
Yeah, so more intensive and intimate attention.
Yes, and they'll be able to play their part in the development of the course. And so, we're expecting people to tell us very bluntly what they're finding is working well and what is not working as well.
Great. So just thinking of what you hope to achieve, perhaps you can share, a typical experience of how you've helped businesses when you coach them one-on-one and what you're sort of trying to replicate in the course.
Yes, well, we did do a video very recently of one of my first coaching clients up here in Cairns. This is going back some years. They were in a very difficult position when we first took them on. When you're describing these actual real life things, of course, you have to be really careful that you don't disclose confidential information.
Yes.
So the fact that we videoed them, people will not be able to identify them, but they found themselves in a very difficult situation. And so we worked out a 4-year plan for them, and we took them from being in this difficult situation to being able to retire in their early 50s,
Uh-huh.
in the space of about, I think it was about 7 years
Right.
in total. They could have retired much sooner, but they weren't ready to.
Mhm.
So they took on board, not without some fights.
There's always a period of denial when we're having to change what we're doing, isn't there?
Yes, and I'm not the sort of person that you might say is agreeable. If I think somebody needs to do something, then I will fight them tooth and nail if I believe it's in their best interest.
Back to the pain in the proverbial factor.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
your secret
Yes.
weapon.
Yes, I don't believe that people pay me good money just to agree with them.
Yes.
I think they pay me their hard-earned to tell them what they need to hear, not what they necessarily want to hear. And whilst they don't always like that, and sometimes they get quite upset with me, that's okay. They can vent on me. I don't mind. I don't have to live with them. But in the end of the day, my advice has to be the best advice that I can give to them.
Yes.
And this course will be no different.
Great. And so, when does this new course start? When does it kick off?
Okay. Well, we've got the launch day this coming